It was one of my favorite moments of my life. Like pretty much ever since that moment, my life has just been about how can I get back on a Jumbotron.
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 48 of the Exploring Washington State podcast. This episode is a conversation I had recently with Lakyn Burry and Nat Nickel of the band Cobrahawk. Cobrahawk's a 5-piece band based in Ellensburg. And you're right, I only named 2 names, so I'm only speaking to 2 of the members in this episode. In the future, we're going to get the other members on, and then my grand scheme is to have all 5 members huddling around microphones and talking to us in one big group setting in the future. But today, it's just Lakyn and it's Nat. So you're going to listen to the lead singer and the drummer tell you stories about Cobrahawk, how they got named, where they play, all the things that make the band kind of this cool, engaging 90s alternative, power punk, pop music band. You're going to like them. And if you go to our website and you go to this episode page, you're going to find a couple of videos that we've moved from YouTube over so you can watch them there, and some audio files that you can listen to, and you can listen to Cobrahawk. So let's get started. But before we get started, I got an ask. It wouldn't be a podcast episode if we didn't ask you to do something, right? Could you please subscribe? If you got the podcast player there in your hand, you're listening to us on your phone, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way we're going to be in your inbox whenever we publish new content, which will be coming out a little more quickly later this week. We're going to move to 3 episodes a week starting by the time you hear this. So we'll have 3 episodes a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, new content, cool things about Washington State for you to listen to 3 times a week. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you haven't, why not? But go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes. That means a lot to us. We love getting the feedback. We are always looking for ways to improve and deliver content that you will enjoy and find valuable. So let's get started. Let's listen to Lakyn and Nat from Cobrahawk. All right, everybody. I am here today with Lakyn Burry and Nat Nickel of the band Cobrahawk. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
So you guys, I heard about you through somebody who does some work for us on our website. She said, I absolutely had to have you guys on to talk about your band and all of that. So let's kind of get our listeners up to speed on who you are and how you guys play music. That's open-ended. That's really open-ended, I know.
Where do I begin? Well, I'm Lakyn. I'm the lead singer in Cobrahawk. Born and raised in Ellensburg, Washington. I lived on the west side for a while too. And Nat and I have been playing in the band for like 6 years now?
No, I think it's more like 8.
Oh God, is it?
So you guys have been together 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, we've known each other, like 10 or 11 years now?
Long time. Yeah.
And when I first met Lakyn, I was instantly like, let's play music together. And then another local band was like forming at the same time, and they snagged her. And so you guys had a pretty good run. Yeah,
we were called Tyrannosaurus Grace, and we played around for a while and got, I guess, locally popular, maybe you could say. And then we disbanded after a little bit, and we formed Cobrahawk, me and Nat and a couple other guys, just for fun, just to do covers, and express ourselves musically, because none of us were currently doing that, and it grew into what it is today.
So Nat, what was it about Lakyn that made you want to play music with her right away?
I mean, obviously, like the talent, the voice, but also I think just shared like tastes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're both really into pop punk.
So how'd you get the name Cobrahawk?
So the name, it's not a cool story. I wish it were a better story.
Well, you can lie, make it up on the spot. Just come on. No,
I was on a mountain one time. No, It was me and a bunch of other people were sitting around at my older brother's house watching a Seahawks game. And we were talking about how a Seahawk isn't a real thing. And then we all started like making up other mythical sounding birds. And someone said Cobrahawk. And I immediately was like, new band name, I call it. And that's the story of how we came up with Cobrahawk.
That's not a bad story. I mean,
when we started playing, like we were a cover band originally.
Mm-hmm.
And the first like 2 or 3 shows we did, we were called Walking, Talking, Stephen Hawking.
Which I have to say is a cool name. It might not be okay, but it's cool.
I mean, I still like it, but there was just some concerns that people wouldn't find it funny.
And I think there was like a transitional name for a minute. We were Teenage Mutant Power Rangers.
I think someone signed us up as that name once, but I always thought that was awful.
So you started off as a cover band. What were you guys playing back then when you first started out?
Pretty much the same thing we play now.
Yeah, there's a few songs that we've been playing since we first started, like Flagpole Sitta by Harvey Danger, I think was one of the first songs we ever learned, and we still play that. We've
probably played Lump by Presidents of the United States like 1,000 times.
Yeah. A lot of like 80s stuff and pop punk stuff. Easy things to play.
All right. So what was the motivation, or who started bringing material to practice that was original?
I think it was just kind of like a mutual, like, we'd just start jamming, someone would play a riff or whatever and we'd jam on it, and eventually it turned into something and we decided to actually make real songs.
I mean, I sort of remember the first 2 or 3 songs we wrote, I wasn't taking very seriously. I thought they were a little bit ridiculous. I mean, like, they're songs we still play, but I didn't really know where it was going at the time. And I think writing some stupid songs at least proved to us, like, oh, we can write songs together. This can be a thing. And so then it just grew from there.
All right. So I was just watching, this will bounce around a lot. I didn't warn you about that. Warning, you're going to get bounced around a lot. But I was watching your guys' videos, and who came up with the video concept for Excuses?
That was like, we're just in the band room having the discussion, right? Like, what's this video going to be? Do you remember?
It was you.
I think it might have been.
There was like a little blossom of this stupid idea to like, because I was pregnant, and it was like, what if we do like baby Olympics, and like Lakyn's like having to show us how hard it is to be pregnant, and then it just snowballed from there and turned into the ridiculous video that it was. It
was like you try and make each other laugh with like a more ridiculous idea, and the more people like chipped in, oh, what if we had these suits on, or like what if we looked pregnant, or what if we like put a baby through field goal and like sprayed milk everywhere, like. Everything people said, I was like, write this down because we can do all of this. And it just like, it clicked in my head because I don't know. I could just see how it would be filmed. So it just happened.
I think eventually I think they were expecting me to shut it down and not be okay with it. And then when that didn't happen, it actually became a video.
Then they had to go through with it. Yeah. So how did you do a casting call for the baby?
Oh, the guy dressed as a baby?
Yeah.
He's my cousin, and he's kind of cameos in all our videos.
Okay. His facial expressions are absolutely hysterical.
He's a good actor. I mean, for what we ask him to do, he always nails it.
Yeah. If it's all right with you, I'll put a link to that video in the show notes because, yeah, I really got a kick out of it. It's a great song, and the video is quite funny. So, did you guys film that in Ellensburg? Is that filmed at like the high school?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, all right. So let's talk about the latest album. How did you guys come up with that, and how long did it take you to go from writing into practicing to publishing?
Way too long. It took so long. I think we wrote the first song we wrote for that album was Cool Kid Costume, the very first track. And I think we were playing that for 2 years before we finally got it all recorded and settled.
The first time I remember playing that song, like the first song from the album, was probably like summer of 2017.
Yeah, it took a long time because we were playing so many shows during the summer. Like we didn't really have a break to sit down and write stuff. We just kind of wrote songs here and there when we could, and then we'd start playing them live. And so over the course of the 2 years playing shows, we wrote the songs, and then finally when we had enough for an album, we started recording them, and then that took forever, recording piece by piece when we had time and when we could all get together. And managing 5 people's schedules is always terrible, so it took a long time.
That's 5 people coordinating that. So where did you guys record that album at?
All the raw tracks are just recorded in like our garage where we practice.
Okay. And then who produced it and who put it all together?
So, most of like, I guess I was sort of the engineer or the I pressed record a lot.
He'd yell at me whenever I did anything wrong recording.
And then like I would go in with all the, alternate takes and like fix up everything. So it was like, every line she sang was like the best take.
Literally word by word he'd put.
Yeah, I was kind of anal about getting everybody to be as perfect as possible on this one. And then like once we kind of had the raw tracks as good as we could get them, then we sent them off to a guy named Sam Hughes. He has a company called Phase Flip Audio in Arizona. And so we would just like email him the tracks, and he would like master them and make everything sound way better.
It's got a great sound throughout. I mean, it really does. So you guys, congratulations. It's a, do we call them albums anymore? But I'm old. I'll call them an album. I think you guys did a great job. And
it was definitely intended to be an album like albums used to be. That's what we grew up on. So
right.
that concept still feels natural to me.
Yeah. I wish more artists were doing quote unquote albums, I think, I just think the day of, somebody just keeps releasing singles that are not connected to each other and disjointed is not that it's not good music, but there's something about putting an album on and maybe not going to the physical act of flipping it over anymore, like we used to have to do. But the idea of listening to something, from the first track to the last track in its entirety,
for sure, yeah.
Is a different way of listening to music than what we do nowadays, it seems like.
There's definitely like a lost art to track listing.
Yeah, it's so congratulations on that. I think that's pretty cool. So you started off as a cover band. You're doing your own stuff now, and you're still filling in with some covers and all that. Where do you think you want to go? What's the creative arc you guys are looking at?
Well, yeah, it's so hard to say right now, like what's in our future, because we don't know when, we can start that. But we definitely want to write more. We're hoping to get a third album out quicker than we got the second one out. So that's definitely in our future. And then we really want to get back to playing shows. I know we all miss them so much, just being in front of a live audience and that energy. And I miss it so much. So I think that's kind of, for me at least, first thing on the list as soon as it's safe is to start playing shows again and then start writing again and hopefully get that third album out rather quickly.
Do you have stuff kind of milling around towards a third album?
I mean, I think we've kind of individually been working on stuff, in our heads, and we have yet to come together and kind of put it all. But I have a feeling that once we do, it's going to come fairly easily, just because we've all got this brewing inside of us for so long and haven't been able to, let it out. So we don't have anything solid yet, but
okay.
I mean, for me, it's sort of a different process because I'm not the songwriter like on any level until I sort of I like them to give me the pieces. Lakyn will write a really good riff or hook or whatever, and I it's like I can't make the Legos, but I can build with the blocks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. You're kind of the connector of the pieces.
So, I mean, I've heard little demos that Devin and Kyle have made, and I'm definitely excited going forward because I don't know. I'd like to sort of cover new ground, right?
Okay.
You know, just write things that are a little bit more technical and a little bit more just, I guess, hard to play.
Okay. So out of that question, then over the years as a band, you guys have made some improvements. You know, technically, you're better, you're more proficient players than you were when you first started. I'm going to guess most bands that play regularly get quote unquote better.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you say more technical, what do you? Can you elaborate? I mean, do you want to? I'm going to joke and say, are you going to roll out a drum kit like Neil Peart and sit behind?
I don't plan on playing anything more technical.
Okay.
No. I think just we've had sort of a rotating like cast of, you know, members in the band, and I think we're at a place now where like the technical proficiency is so high that, I mean, we basically have 2 lead guitar players. And so like the 2 of them together, we can just do really cool, interesting stuff.
Okay.
You know, I can throw an idea at them and they can do it.
All right. So when you were playing, so here's a question I'd like you both to answer, not at the same time, one at a time. Where's the place that you guys have performed that is your favorite place to perform as a musician?
Oh, I think we both have the same place, and that's
okay. No, wait. The second part of that question is, where's your favorite place to go and see music being performed?
You want to go first, Nick?
I mean, I know that we both love to play at Wally's in Wenatchee, Wally's House of Booze. It's a small place. I don't know. The capacity's what, 50 or something?
Yeah.
50 maybe.
But it's just so packed, and when we play there, and the people, the crowd is so into it. They're so supportive. They make you feel like a rock star.
All right. When you and I talked on the phone and you called it Wally's, I was like, Wally's. He goes, yeah, where you live? I'm like, Wally's. Because I always call it Wally's House of Booze, because the first time I ever came to Wenatchee, that I drove past it and that sign was just like, that's the coolest name ever.
Right.
That's just Wally's House of Booze. That's just like perfect. But you called it Wally's and you threw me off. But that's a cool little spot. And I was surprised how, past tense, busy it was.
You know, just from sort of outsider observation, it just seems like they've developed that scene by just being consistent. You know, they just have music there all the time, and like Ando's just a cool guy, and everybody in that music scene knows Ando.
Yeah, it's really the people there that make it so awesome.
Okay. So how about where's the coolest place you guys have seen music performed at? Like, if a band you want to go see is playing here, you're definitely going to go check them out.
Well, I think as far as like smaller venues go, I mean, seeing bands at Wally's is always fun because you're right up there. I always really like seeing bands at the Showbox Soto. I think that's a really cool venue. Like, they get bigger bands, but it's not a huge place. You still feel kind of intimate, like you're right up there. That's probably my favorite venue to see other bands play.
That would also be my answer. Just I've Seattle's sort of the place where a bigger band's going to come through, and Showbox is sort of that right size where like you feel like you can get close to the band. I mean, I guess, something like White River or the Gorge, it's kind of a drag to be up on the hill and like they just look like ants,
Well, the other drag is getting out of both of those two venues is a nightmare.
It really is.
It's no fun. What about the showbox at the market, though? Have you guys ever attended a show?
I think that's what we're talking
That's
about.
what I
Yeah.
meant, yeah.
Not the.
You're not talking about the one down by Safeco Field then.
No.
Yeah, the one downtown.
Yeah,
That's
the
The one
market.
downtown. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, we saw X there last. That was the last concert I think I went to. I saw X at the Showbox, and it's a great venue. You're right. It is.
It's probably where I've seen like the most bands.
Yeah. We saw.
Have you ever
MX.
been to the Tractor Tavern?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Did
Yeah, Tractor's kind of a.
I don't think we did.
You did with your last band?
Did I? I don't even know anymore. I think T Grace might have played there. Yeah.
Oh, is that where Star played?
And yeah, we Star plays there. Has played there quite a few times, I think.
Yeah, I think I played with Kyle there, and then like Star, and then Mark Pickerel played, and your mom got super drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened.
Her mom like doesn't drink, but for this one moment, we just happened to be there. And anyway, I'm sure she'd love to hear that on the podcast.
Yes, just make sure to have Mom listen. Yeah, the Tractors. I'll talk about it in present tense because I'm hoping it's still going to stay open. But the Tractor is a great little venue in Seattle. It's a lot of fun. They do a pretty good job of booking a lot of mid-level,
Right.
older acts that are still coming around and can sell out 400 or 500 people for a night or two.
Yeah, Seattle's kind of been a tough one for us to crack. I think just there's just so many options.
Where have you guys tried to play in Seattle in the past?
We've played the Central, the Skyline, the
Skylark.
High
Where's
Dive.
that at?
It's in West Seattle,
Okay.
like by like the Delridge area.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, then there's the High Dive and the Blue Moon.
Oh, see, you're in good company at the Blue Moon.
Last
All
time we
those
played there,
bands
there
that-
was a fight. It was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys draw like at those venues?
Meh.
Not very well.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. We typically we'll play with other bands that we're friends with, and they'll kind of say, "Hey, we have a show at the Blue Moon. Do you want to play with us?" And we'll just be like, "Yeah, sure."
Mm-hmm.
So, I just, like I said, I don't think we've ever really got a lot of traction over there because of, I don't know, just exposure or competition, or we're just not that good. I don't know.
Well, I not that I'm a music critic, because if I was, this would be a really boring episode, right? But I enjoy what you guys are doing. I don't think it's you as players or performers. So I don't think it's that. I think it's the promotional cracking a noisy audience. I mean, there's so many choices in Seattle, like you were saying.
And I'm sure there's people in Seattle that would like us. It's just getting them to the show.
Right.
It's there's a lot more noise to compete with to get your message out there.
Where do you guys play? Where I say do like it's present tense. Sorry, this is hard with COVID, right? But where were you guys playing around in Ellensburg? What venues were there nowadays?
None.
Venues
That's
kind of
sad.
come and go here. There was a place called Raw Space for a while, on the corner of, I think, 4th and Pine.
Something like that, yeah.
And it kind of, changed hands several times really quickly. And so the identity of the venue kind of kept shifting. Is this a place where you're going to sell PBR for $1, or is this a place where you're going to sell, craft brew stuff? So when Lakyn was playing in her last band, like they could sell that place out. Like it was every time they were going to play there, it was a big deal. Or Star Anna would play there, and like it was just I don't know. It was just like this bubble that burst really quickly.
Yeah. And now when we have played here recently, it's usually outdoor stuff. Like by the little gazebo thing downtown, we'll rent out that little parking lot. We do a lot of stuff with Iron Horse, the brewery here in town. So they'll have an event and we'll play, we'll be like the house band for the night and play for a few hours. And so usually when we play here, it's stuff like that.
What about, do you guys ever go down to Yakima, down Tri-Cities area?
Yeah. Where's it? We
Bearded Monkey in Yakima. We've played there.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
Was it originally a bicycle shop?
I think it's a gym or.
Is it a
And
gym?
there's like one side that still is, and then the other side is a music venue, and it's actually like really cool in there. They have this whole big light set up, and it's where we filmed our video for Get on Your Knees,
Okay.
like the disco-y one. We filmed it there.
That one's great too, by the way. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say with Bearded Monkey, it was just kind of a random. Like you wouldn't expect them to be like a music location, but because the owner he's just enthusiastic about it. He's just kind of made it happen. And then we play at the Seasons.
The Seasons is a really cool venue.
The Seasons Performance Hall. And it's just kind of, you just make connections with people.
Right.
You just impress the right person, and then they always invite you to their events and want you to play. So,
Well, Seasons is doing that live streaming series right now.
right.
What's it called? I'm drawing a blank. Two of the previous guests that we've had on recently, Stephanie Ann Johnson and Jesse Butterworth, both have done live streams from there recently. And have you guys thought about maybe trying to do a live stream?
We did a live stream at the Seasons.
I think did we do their first one?
I think we were like second or third, but it was quite. What, do you remember? Was it in the summer?
No, because I was very, very pregnant. So I think it was September. It was like end of August, beginning of September, I think.
Because we were doing a Kickstarter for a new album at the time.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like all rolled into it, like watch our live stream and maybe buy something from the Kickstarter while you're at it.
Sure. So one of the things I asked Jesse and Stephanie Ann, how is it to perform in you're trying to play live, but you don't have that energy from the audience coming back at you?
It's pretty awkward.
So yeah, you just kind of fake it, pretend there's people there.
You could do like the sports teams do and get cutouts of people, put them in the stands. I don't know. One of the things that we've been trying to, we all try to brainstorm is like how to, especially in what you guys are doing, how to navigate when you can't play live, or you shouldn't play live, or there's no places to play live anymore. I mean, that's kind of the other concern, is how many places are going to be able to survive however long this is going to be. And they'll come back. I mean, those venues that might not make it economically, the spaces are still viable. And so some entrepreneur will probably step in and, create a new opportunity. But I just, I keep wanting to figure out how bands can play live, because that's the biggest thing I miss, is going to see live music. And, because even though I guess I can now, I'm kind of like you guys. I don't really want to do it until it's safe. And,
I
don't know.
We're kind of in a weird place right now because, we were getting together and sort of writing and sort of practicing, and we were putting out like cover videos on YouTube and just sort of kind of paying attention to what, I think a lot of bands are doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the point, I'm probably the biggest problem right now, but like around Christmas and Thanksgiving, when it was like, oh, I'm going to have to be around family, or I'm not going to be around family. And I think I'm the most cautious one. And so we just don't play together because I'm a little nervous about being in the same room with 5 people, like breathing air that we're spitting out all over our microphones,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to perform and sing with a face mask on. And it just doesn't, it's not part of the look.
And I don't know, I guess I just have like an extra phobia. So like playing music is not fun for me when I'm just panicking, thinking like, this is it, I'm going to get sick from this practice.
Yeah, no, nobody should. Anxiety is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Nobody should have it.
So yeah, we're just kind of in a holding pattern. Like, I think everybody's definitely excited to like Lakyn said, play live and write. But if we can just get that vaccine, then I'll be back in the practice space for sure.
And I think we're seeing more and more of that happen over the next few weeks / months. I think by summertime, I think we're starting to look like that's going to be available for more and more people over the next couple months, and then whether you get it or not is kind of, I don't know, luck of the draw and all that stuff, but we'll see.
Well, I'm also curious, when we do sort of make a comeback, like, are people going to remember us? Are people going to still be, invested in some way? I mean, I have to think that the pendulum's going to swing, and everybody that's been cooped up for over a year is going to really want to get out and do stuff. But I know for me personally, like, being cooped up like this has just sort of like permanently impacted my lifestyle. I've just kind of slowed down and gotten a bit more isolated, and I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's like,
so I talked to a lot of people, both, for the podcast episodes and just in business in general. And I think what you just said is kind of the bulk of people are saying that they've just kind of slowed down, changed what they were doing with their free time and their lives. And they're going to be a little bit maybe more purposeful in how they spend their free time.
Right.
But I also think that people are going to be more appreciative when they go out and maybe be more present. One of the things that drives me crazy is when you go see a band play and we're all looking at our phones, or we're all using our phones to take videos of the band and we're not really paying attention to that stuff. I think you're going to probably find an audience that when they go out, they're going to be more present, more appreciative. I don't think whether people have forgot you or not, maybe not the question. It's just getting out into a venue where you can play and people will show up. I think you're going to have a really big reception. I really do. I think not all bands, but I think bands in general are going to have a big reception when they start playing again. So,
not to make too weird of an analogy, but like we were watching Lord of the Rings recently, and there's a few lines in there about, I think they're talking about like, I don't remember the taste of bread, and I don't remember the Shire, and like, it's been so long and I've been through all this trouble that like, I can't even remember what I used to like anymore. And I think it's going to be like that for a lot of people, where like, they're not going to care until they get that taste again. You know what I mean?
Yes, but then everything's going to come flooding back.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Everyone's going to come flooding back. So while I'm talking to you guys, I always have websites open about my guests. And so I'm looking at the Yakima Herald, and they did an interview with you guys. Now they actually, this interview is with you, which is really interesting. The interview is 2017,
right?
But the photos dated 2018. I find that interesting. You guys opened for Smash Mouth.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you guys get that gig?
So we were in a Battle of the Bands, a Yakima Battle of the Bands, and the prize was you got to play at the fair, the Yakima Fair. And it was supposed to be like this side, like secondary stage, like super early in the morning, one of the days of the fair, I think. But when we won the Battle of the Bands, they were like, oh no, you guys can't play there. Like we were too good for that or something. And they said that, they would talk to the people putting on the show in Smash Mouth and see if it was all right if they squeezed us in right before them, because they thought we would be good at opening for them. So that's what happened.
I know there was like a weird incident where one of our guitar players had a dream about playing with Smash Mouth, like right around the time that they were announced for the fair. And then so I think we just kind of like jokingly were like, hey, we won this Battle of the Bands. We should probably open for Smash Mouth, don't you think? And they were just like, okay, we'll see what we can do. And then they just made it happen. Like, it was totally unexpected.
That's okay. So how was it? How was the audience? How did they receive you? Because, when you're always the opening act, I always think, people are there to see the headliner. How did they receive you?
I thought it was a pretty good reception. Like, people seemed into it. And like, I know, I think I could speak for everyone when I say, like, we all really put our all into that performance. Like, it was a shorter set. I think it was only like 20 minutes or something like that. So we just like went for it the entire time. Like, we were like, this is going to be the best show we've ever put on because there's so many new people here, like new opportunities for fans. And it seemed like everyone was really into it. And we were on a Jumbotron, which made us feel really cool. So
Yep.
Well, that's the photo that I'm looking at. Matt, you're on the Jumbotron playing your drums and obviously playing your drums. And yeah, how is that? I mean, that's a little different, isn't it?
It was one of my favorite moments of my life. Like, pretty much ever since that moment, my life has just been about how can I get back on a Jumbotron. It was so good. It was so much fun. You're asking about the crowd response, and I think for people who didn't know us, it was kind of like, okay, maybe I've seen these guys in the paper, or like, yeah, they weren't too bad for being like a local band. But I think for people who like knew of us, seeing us in that context was kind of like, I think there was a bit more energy because everybody was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, are you a big deal now? Like, like even our parents seeing us, it was like, yeah, aren't you glad you paid for music lessons and bought us instruments? And
it's all worth it now. Opening for Smash Mouth.
But, it is a different context. I mean, I think it made people take us a little bit more seriously.
So you just said something, and now I've got a total random question. How do your families feel about you guys being this band and in that? What sort of feedback? Are they supportive?
I know for my family, my parents bought me my first drum set when I was like 11. And I was playing in like an all-girl punk band from that point for a few years. And they would like haul my drum set to shows for me and go to every single show. And since that point, since I started playing music, that's what they've done. They always try to go to every show they can. And they support us. Like my mom donated a bunch of money to the Kickstarter to help us with the album. And they like genuinely like the music we make and are very, very supportive. It's awesome.
So not to tease you, but if you were 11 and you had the family car to put your drums in, you'd get in trouble. So they kind of had to take
That's
you.
That's true.
What sort of, when you were in let's talk about that. Your first band, your punk band.
Yeah.
Where were you? Where were you playing at that age?
Oh, all over. There was a lot more of a music scene here in Ellensburg then, like with Gus Fest and all that stuff that used to happen. So we actually played Gus Fest one year, and we played all over Seattle and in Portland and like all over the Northwest. It was really awesome.
But you weren't able to play at, like, say, the Tractor, were you? Because you were underage and really underage.
Yeah, we did play at some bars though. I don't know if the rules were more lax back then, but like basically we had to wait in a back room while the other bands played, and we couldn't be out in the bar and watch any other of the music. But when it was our turn to go on stage, we'd go on stage, play our set, pack up, and immediately have to leave. But we did get to play at bars and stuff around Seattle.
And so how were you received as being, I mean, no offense, little kids everyone's at least a decade older than you at that point.
I think.
How was that experience?
I think most people were just genuinely shocked at how not crappy we were. Like, I mean, we were 11-year-old punk band. Obviously we weren't good, but we weren't as bad as you might expect 3 11-year-old girls playing punk music to be.
Well,
so it was just 3 of you.
Yeah.
You picked a style of music that was like so gritty and like simplistic, but like you sounded like the other bands you were trying to be like.
Yeah.
So who were your influences at that point?
Sex Pistols, Ramones, all that like 70s British and New York punk.
Okay.
I've always been really into Nirvana, 90s grunge, and then our singer at the time was really into like Susie Sue and all that kind of stuff. So
who's the band where's her husband from? What band was that?
The Exploding Hearts. They were a pop punk band out of Portland back in the early thousands.
Yeah, it's that name escapes me. Okay. How about you, Nat? What was your first band? Were you 11 and carrying your drums in places, or?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely didn't have it together the way Lakyn's band did. We were active at the same time, but I'm a little older than she is. So like, we were definitely playing more like consumer friendly pop punk, and she was playing more like really raw, like sniff glue pop punk, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so what were your influences in that early phase then, if it was the more pop punk?
God, I'm just really obsessed with MXPX.
Okay.
And they're a Washington band, so I think that helps. I mean, like everybody, when you get started, you've got your Green Days and your Metallicas and your, that gateway drug or whatever.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, we just played around. Like, we didn't have the spectacle of being like 11-year-old girls that kicked ass, So we just played where they'd let us play, and high school talent shows and whatever. So,
gotcha. So, Lakyn, were you singing then, or were you just playing the drums?
I was singing then. Yeah. Not as much. Like we had our lead singer and bass player and then guitar player. And then I played drums and sang, backup mostly. But then I had a couple songs where we'd switch it up and I'd sing the lead. Mostly it was just screaming, sounding like chipmunks. But
gotcha. When did you switch to just being a vocalist primarily?
So I think when I was 13 or 14, I started teaching myself how to play guitar. And then around, I think 15, 16, started another band after that first one broke up, where I was the lead singer and guitar player. And that's what I did in all of the bands I was in, up until this one. Actually, I played guitar and sang.
You played guitar in this band for a while.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I think we all kind of felt like it was better when I could concentrate just on singing and not have to. And also, I'm a really crappy guitar player, so I wasn't really adding anything there. So I went from playing drums and singing to playing guitar and singing, and then with this band, just singing.
But when you're writing music, do you sit down with a guitar and
I do, yeah.
Try to put it together that way? Okay. So your current roster in the band, how'd you guys all meet? Are you all local original Ellensburg folks?
Mm-hmm. Except for Matt, maybe?
Yeah, I think our bassist is like from the west side. But he'll probably live here for quite a while, I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he has no choice. He has to.
Right.
Because that's Nicole.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, as long as she wants to hang out in Ellensburg.
Yes.
Guys are good.
It's pretty much up to her, I think.
Yeah. Well, she's not going anywhere. We'll make that happen for you guys. So what we, how do I want to say this? Since they're not there, let's talk about the other members of the band. Tell our listeners a little bit about your other bandmates. Give us the 30-second bio on each of them.
So we've got, there's me and there's Nat, and then there's Devin, who is one of our guitar players. I don't know who to say lead and who's
They're
lead
both lead guitar.
They're both lead.
Okay.
But yeah, he is from here. He's a little bit younger than the rest of us. And he's a little bit more into like metal, harder, screamier stuff than the rest of us are. So he kind of brings that influence into the band, which I think you can hear, especially on the new album. You can hear that influence a lot more. So that's kind of what he brings. And he has a lot of that kind of creative, more technical playing to him, which I think is really cool.
But he also, I believe, is self-taught.
Yeah, I think he is.
So he's like just amazing for, I mean, like no lessons. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kyle like teaches music. So,
well, I'm not to sound like a creepy stalker, but I'm on his Facebook page right now where it says private music lessons by Kyle Bain.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. He's definitely like our theory guy. You know, that was sort of missing. I mean, like we'll have like a feel for music, but he's the guy who knows why it sounds good. Like on
gotcha.
On the theory level.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like he's advertising here: guitar, ukulele, banjo, bass, piano, and percussion.
Yeah, he definitely is just into music. He can do it all.
He's definitely the most talented musician of the five of us, I think, just all around. Like,
he actually, are you familiar with the YouTube children's show Blippi?
I am not.
So it's like, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, but it seems like a big deal. And the guy, Steven, who is Blippi, is from Ellensburg. So he grew up with Kyle, and he like had Kyle do a lot of the original music for the show. So like Kyle had this Nicky Notes persona. I don't know if he wants me to say any of this.
probably not, but he's not here.
Okay.
So,
But
yeah, he could have been here, and then we could have avoided all this. But this is the price you
now
pay.
we're gonna air all his dirty laundry.
I was gonna let him have his own call with you if he wanted.
Okay.
I didn't want to put those guys in a situation where we were going to have to compete for talk time. So
it's okay. And then what about Matt?
Where do we meet, or the bio on Matt?
Yeah. What's the bio?
I probably know the least of Matt's history. Matt's been in like a lot of like joke bands.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll always say like, oh yeah, in middle school we used to be in this band, but like we play all the wrong instruments. Like I'm a drummer, but I play guitar, and we'd just be like a mock what? Like they were in a band called Poon, which is like a mock Kiss band.
That's
Okay.
how I first met him, was at a battle of the bands we played with them. And they just put on face makeup and wigs and play really awesome songs.
Okay.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Matt's interesting because like he actually is a great front man, but in the context of our band, he seems like the quiet one. But like when you give him time to be funny, he is like the most comfortable, like being ridiculous and witty, like in front of an audience.
The one thing, neither of you will probably know the answer to this, but when I'm looking at him, and I'm on your website right now, the violin bass that he's playing does not seem
the hollow body.
Yeah, it does not seem like, I don't want to say the right bass, but I'm surprised by that choice.
I haven't.
Do you have any idea?
I have an answer.
Why he's? Oh, you do. Perfect.
He loves that bass because it's so lightweight.
Okay.
I don't know if it is the right bass. I think going forward, that may be a topic of discussion. But, you know, we want everybody in the band to be happy. We've been in situations where members of the band were not very happy, and it sucked for everybody.
Sure.
So I'm not going to tell people what instrument to play, but I'll certainly suggest other,
No, it's a cool bass. I just keep thinking it should be left-handed and he should look like Paul McCartney.
I was listening to Revolver the other day, and I was like, dude, can your bass sound like this? And he was like, no, that's a Rickenbacker. So I don't know. I mean, different tools for different jobs, I guess.
Right. Well, what else have we not covered? This is the time for you guys to just say what you want to say. What haven't we covered?
Oh God, we don't have anything. This is not like a normal interview because we don't have anything to promote, like except for the new album, which we talked about. Like we don't have any upcoming shows. It's so weird.
I mean, this is sort of us saying, "Hey, we're still here. We're still alive. We're going to come back someday."
Yeah,
it's just kind of out of our control. And
stay tuned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, you do have a little bit though. You want people to hear the new album. Where should people go to listen to and purchase the new album?
I mean, I've tried to make it like available at as many places as possible. So like the whole thing's on YouTube, you don't have to pay for it. It's all about streaming now. So iTunes and Spotify and Amazon, and it's on all the digital stuff. And we do have physical CDs. We typically sell those at shows for, it's kind of just that. I mean, I don't know if people put a CD in a CD player anymore. Maybe in their car.
Yeah, my car has one. I was just trying to think, where do I have a CD player anymore? And I
if
don't.
Somebody like hands me a CD at a show, I'm checking it out in my car exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
But people like to have something to like autograph sometimes, or just that sort of physical thing to hold. But we've sort of distributed CDs around Ellensburg. Like we've like boogeyman music and like old school records and what's Mark's called? Road Trip Records. Mark Pickerel from Screaming Trees has like a record shop out the fruit stand. And so basically we donated a bunch of like physical albums to different like locations around town and just said like, hey, if you want a CD, just, give these businesses some foot traffic. Like the money's theirs to keep,
Well, let's actually I'd like to close kind of like with this. So when you're not working or playing in a band, where are some cool what do you guys do in Washington State for fun and relaxation?
Well, before we answer that, I just want to be careful what we say because there are certain like, I don't know if you'd call them hidden gems, but there's certain like places we like to go swim, for example.
That we don't want everyone to know about.
So this is where you guys can divert. Send them someplace back. Come on.
I mean, you've lived in Ellensburg, so you've probably floated the Yakima River
a few hundred times. Yes.
So, I mean, we kind of go through phases. Like we were really into that where it was
every weekend we were out floating the river. And then Nat decided we were pressing our luck and someone was going to die soon. So we had to stop.
Well, like this past summer, like a lot of people drown. And so I was just kind of like, I don't think I'm going to do it at all. And, like Devin and Matt and I like snowboard, I think. Mm-hmm. So,
where do you guys go snowboarding?
White Pass is my favorite. Okay. But Snoqualmy's close and Stevens is about as far away.
Do you ever go up to Mission Ridge?
I don't think I've ever been there.
I think we were supposed to play a show there a couple years ago, but there was a big snowstorm and it got canceled because we couldn't get up there.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're...
Yeah, Mission just put a new chair in this year. Upgraded one of their big chairs. Nice. And it's a great place. Well, yeah, it's a great place to go snowboarding. So it's just not easy to get to from Ellensburg.
Well, and it was just one of those situations where like, I'm always really hesitant to book a show in winter because I just assume that there's like at least a 50% chance we won't make it. And so, in this moment, it was like, hey, okay, we'll book this show in like January, but knowing there's a good possibility we'll cancel. And then of course, like that weekend, the weather was terrible. And, we had to make the call like, hey, we're not coming. And they seemed kind of unhappy with that. But
I think the morning we were going to drive up there, the roads were closed anyway. Like we couldn't have gotten up there even if we wanted to.
Right. But I think it worked out. Like there was another band that we're friends with that played there the night before and they were kind of stuck there. So they ended up just playing again.
Gotcha. Are either of you coffee drinkers?
I am. Yes. That's my lifeblood.
Okay.
With it.
So where in Ellensburg?
So I work currently right next to Utopia. So I get a lot of my coffee during the week there. D&M always, Ellensburg classic. They always have really good coffee, and Weinigers has really good coffee too.
Weinigers, I haven't heard that one mentioned. I mean, I've heard Weinigers, but I haven't heard them mentioned with coffee. That's okay.
They have really, I like to get dirty chais from there. Their chai tea is really good.
Okay. And it's a little tough with COVID because we're not going out to eat or nothing, but, now where's a great place in Ellensburg for lunch?
I think my big ones are like the Tav, Red Horse Diner.
Yellow Church.
Yellow Church is a popular one. Palace Cafe is like the all around. Everybody eats there.
Yeah.
I think there's some. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but yeah, like the Tav is probably like my number one.
Oh yeah, there was a minute before COVID where like every Friday night we were at the Tav getting drinks and food.
Yep.
So what are you ordering at the Tav?
I'm a chicken strips guy.
I usually get like the taco salad. I'm a vegetarian, so I get the taco salad without the taco meat.
Okay. So what do they call that? Just salad?
Yeah, I guess just a regular salad with jalapenos on it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you guys disclose one under the radar cool thing in Ellensburg. Like if somebody's driving through, let's say they're going from Seattle to Spokane and they had an hour to kill in Ellensburg. Something that's not like go walk around Central. That's pretty obvious. So something that's a little off the beaten path.
I would probably, I mean, as far as like shopping, I would point somebody toward like Central City Comics.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know if this counts because it's not technically Ellensburg, I guess.
That's okay. We'll let you slide.
There is spots like up in the Tianaway. There are these sandstone lined like swimming holes that you can hike to that are amazing. That's like my favorite place to go in the summer is you drive like a half hour up into the Tianaway and you walk into the woods and there are these awesome little swimming holes.
The problem with Tianaway, I mean, a lot of people live up there, but also like, I think like one of the Seattle newspapers a couple of years back ran some article about like hidden gems, like, and they like basically gave directions to our watering hole and like it completely changed because then every time we went there, it was just like packed with people from out of town. And so it just totally kind of killed it.
Right. Right. No, that's kind of true for a lot of places. Yes.
Salmon Lasac. I don't know if you've been up there, but there's some,
not for many years.
There's great places to swim up there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you close this out by telling people where they can find you online and things like that, and we'll wrap this one up.
So our website is cobrahawkband.com, and you can pretty much find links to any of our other social media from there, and you can hire us and book us through our website.
Yeah. All right.
So who handles your booking? Do you? For some reason, I think you do.
We have like a joint email account. So, like you'll fill out a form and it'll go there typically, or sometimes people will Facebook message us or whatever, but
it's never me. Just for whenever you're talking to anyone on the email, it's never me because I'm terrible at dealing with people. I'm not good at talking and I'm so absent-minded. I always tell people, last time I booked a show, I booked us an outdoor show in Roslyn in November for $300. So they don't let me book shows anymore.
Yeah, Lakyn's privileges were revoked because she wouldn't like, what's the word? I mean, she wouldn't like fight for us to be in a good situation. She'd just be like, yeah, we'll do it. No problem. It's like, wait a minute, outside in November?
Well, okay, in all fairness, somebody else thought that was a good idea if they were looking for a band.
Yeah, I mean, it was a wedding. Oh, okay. And I cannot comment on their choices. That was their deal. But okay. It was a real drag for us.
So you guys actually did the show?
Yes. Yeah.
We didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into until it was like,
it was actually snowing for a minute there while we were playing, I think.
Like we had kind of thought, okay, it's at this place. It'll be indoor for sure. And then they just had us outdoor on a stage. And of course, no one wants to be outside to listen. So, and there weren't.
So it was almost like you were playing a live stream.
and I don't even think there were heat lamps or anything. So it just.
That was weird. So yeah, when you go to our website and book us online, you're not talking to me.
Okay.
It all just comes down to exactly like booking this, podcast. One of us kind of has to be the center point and kind of talk to everyone and schedule and say, who's available? When are you available? And like, I just kind of made the call to do two of us tonight because it just seems so much easier to not have to like have the stars align.
Yeah. And that's, when you're trying to get 5 people together, it's kind of tough. Especially when
you don't want to be in the same room.
And we're not supposed to have 5 people together. So.
I mean,
exactly.
Lakyn's sister is like my domestic partner. So, we live together. So Lakyn and I are basically family at this point, spend Christmas together and all that stuff. So we're a little less concerned about like spreading germs in our inner circle.
Gotcha. So Lakyn, I'm going to ask, are you bringing the baby to shows in the future?
I plan to, yeah. Especially, the stuff we do with, Iron Horse here in town is often, outdoor and all ages up to a certain point. And like I said, my parents always like to come to shows. So I expect that they will be bringing the baby to watch me play, which will be exciting. We'll get him
That's
some
pretty
little
cool.
headphones and
I went to it wasn't a Grateful Dead show because Jerry was dead. So it was a Dead show at the Gorge. And there were so many infants with over the ear bulky headphones on. It was almost comical to me because dozens of them,
You know,
little children with giant headphones.
the last couple, it's been a while since we've been to shows, but the last few I went to, I mean, there were like 5-year-olds there with the headphones and they were super into it.
Yeah.
So I definitely appreciate people that are bringing their small children to shows. I think an infant is probably not going to remember it, but
No, probably not. But
they're
it's
they're
cool.
doing the groundwork to keep that culture alive. You know, that's the next generation. So I know I wasn't at a show like that at 5 years old, so I'm definitely jealous.
So I just keep coming up with questions when you guys say things. So what was the first show you ever went to?
mine was at Gus Fest here in Ellensburg when that was still a thing. I think I was 11. Yeah. Well, because my punk band played, and then
Right.
so this was like my first big show. And the headliner for that show was the Presidents and Sir Mix-a-Lot. So that was my first big show that I saw was also the first big show that I played.
Okay. How about you, Nat?
I'm pretty sure it was like Warp Tour 99 or something.
And how old were you about then?
I think I was like going into high school, like between like
Okay.
8th grade and freshman year. I don't know. That's just the biggest one I can remember. Because I think,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So what was the best show you've seen? Like, what was the show you walked away from and going, wow, they were amazing.
My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
And my MXPX, actually, so I didn't like MXPX until recently. And then we all, like, as a band, like, took a band field trip and went and saw them at the Showbox Market. And they were kick-ass, and I've been a huge fan of them since.
Okay. How about you, Nat?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said earlier, like MXPX is like a favorite of mine. So, pretty much anytime I see them, it's going to be a good time. But, as far as like really big bands putting on a show, I mean, I've always been impressed with Green Day. I mean, they kind of have their like gimmicks that they do every time you see them, but they definitely they're good with crowd interaction, and they have pyrotechnics, and it's just it's definitely something to behold. They're masters at their craft at this point.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with you on that a lot. Okay. Well, thank you both for making this happen. I appreciate you both, and we will put some links to some things you guys referenced in the show notes for people to click on, and let us know when you're starting to play again, and we'll help spread the
Awesome.
word.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
All right.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.